Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the Big and Furry Bovine. Joining me, Tony and what's his name? Brian, yeah, from Arizona. And Tony, you got some breaking news to start out the program today.
Yes, and you're going to wonder what the fuck does this have to do with the Browns? Vikings cornerback Cam Dantzler has tested positive for COVID-19. What does this have to do with the Browns? He played 72 of the 78 snaps yesterday on the defense, guarding Odell Beckham for 75% of them. The other 25% he guarded Rashard Higgins.
Well, the one good news in all of this is that most everything that Baker threw to Odell was nowhere near him, so they never actually had to make contact with one another. So there's always something positive to say, you know?
But he did tackle Higgins, I think.
Yeah, that's a real possibility. And knowing our luck, that's what be the one guy who manages to come through and catch the ball when we need it most will go down.
And Tony, is he related to Woody Dantzler?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Well, number one, he's black, so I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. Dantzler was the reformed quarterback from Clemson from years ago.
Oh.
Was he related to Tony Danza? At any rate, there are some questions that I have after this football game. It's like when when you start thinking about things, and we used to do the things that make you go, segment on the program way back in the early 2000s. And when something doesn't jive, I immediately get this feeling like something's not right here. All right. For one thing, there are a lot of people who commented on the post-game show. The thing is up over 1,000 views, and people are commenting on it. And some of them are saying, I'm not really a Browns fan, or what's wrong with me? We won the game, and all of that. And why are you getting down on Baker and this and that? And, we're getting into the factions again. But I want to put to rest that Baker Mayfield, in his press conference after the game, said his performance was piss poor. And that's a quote. And piss poor would qualify for exactly what I said about his performance. And as far as Kevin Stefanski was concerned, his quote was an explanation of what when I kept saying on the post-game show, I really respect this guy. He's a bright guy, but he was an idiot yesterday. And his comment was, I struggled. All right. Now, those are two. One is very blunt, piss poor. I didn't know where he was throwing the ball, and he acknowledged, I don't even know what was going on out there. I struggled mentally, physically, conceptually. I'm not so sure about this. And then it really, yeah, but it makes me wonder. Because I go on my YouTube, because, whenever I'm watching my smart TV, I pull up YouTube to make sure that, how the balance of sound is on the Moohead archive right after the show. And I saw the press conferences from Cleveland Browns, from the team, from the organization, from, God's mouth. And I was like, God, I can't wait to hear what Stefanski has to say. But in that presser, he didn't say, I struggled. Not a word of it. Then I went over to Baker Mayfield's. And he didn't say my performance was piss poor. And it's like, well, then where am I hearing this from? And why are people saying this if it wasn't actually said? Well, Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports, headline, Baker Mayfield says he needs to pick it up after piss poor performance. Well, I highly doubt that Pro Football Talk, PFT, and NBC is going to make this shit up. And then it was doubled down on by Dan Labby Cleveland.com that this is exactly what he said. So now I know that the post-game shit that I'm watching on YouTube has been edited by the Browns organization.
It was originally reported by Mary Kay Cabot at 4 p.m. Quote,
Right.
"This poor performance by me isn't going to cut it."
That's right. Absolutely right. Nowhere to be found in the cut down version that was put up on YouTube, which is where, I mean, honestly, most people will go to get their post game interviews on YouTube. It's all been edited. So I got to ask, obviously, your quarterback saying it was a piss poor performance. They don't want him to say that, and they don't want the fans to hear him saying that. And then we don't want to hear Kevin Stefanski saying that he struggled. But folks, they're both true. And I'm going to try to answer the question, first of all, of why the Browns organization feels it necessary to take 10-minute, post-game press conferences and zip them down to 4 minutes and take out critical content. And if the front office is that concerned about that, there's many other things they could be concerned about just as much or more. And the answer to that is just corporate stuff, and it's all something I'm never going to completely know, except that it didn't sound good. That's not what we want the fans to hear. But we saw it with our eyes. Kevin Stefanski struggled, and Baker Mayfield couldn't throw the ball in a straight line, not to save his soul. And he stunk. And Kevin Stefanski stunk. Now, the real question is Stefanski. He struggled with what? And the only thing I can think of is he came out with his scripted plays, and the vast majority of them were passes because the Vikings have not done well against deep passing game, and his quarterback had no idea where he was throwing the ball. And Stefanski reacted to that situation way too slow, if at all. I think he just figured, well, Baker's eventually going to get into a rhythm and we're going to move the ball down the field and score touchdowns. And it never happened. So I think he struggled all right. And what he struggled with was telling Baker, just dump the fucking ball off. Forget the goddamn long passing games. You go back and you do your progressions. Keep it simple, stupid. And he struggled telling his quarterback that. And it might also explain why Mayfield was on the sidelines toward the end of the game yelling at assistant coaches on the sidelines. Maybe somebody got into his face and said, look, stop with the downfield reads. You're going to kill us. I think that's maybe where the coach was struggling, was communicating with Baker Mayfield, stop doing that. You don't have it today, so why make a bad situation worse? As for Baker's piss poor performance, I would say if that's the case, what I just said, the pissiest part of his performance remains, which is not wanting to listen to that kind of negative talk or tough love. I just think it's weird. And, I don't feel good when my coach struggles, and I don't feel good when my quarterback is totally inaccurate, completing 45% of his throws, and throws that he would make in his sleep were nowhere near where they were meant to go. And this shoulder thing lingers over all of this. And Stefanski in his presser, when we made sure, of course, that, clevelandbrowns.com got that part in. No, I just don't believe that the shoulder has anything to do with what Baker is experiencing. And then, as if he was answering me directly, nor does his footwork. Bullshit! Take a look at the play where he missed Kareem Hunt in the end zone. I mean, he was rolling out to his right, and nobody was going to hit him. and he was completely leaning backwards and off balance, and it looked like his feet kind of got tangled. That's why the ball sailed. Just look at the play. So these questions that I ask are going to have to get fixed, because whatever the story is, it's not good. I don't like to hear these types of things. I mean, I like people to be accountable, and it's nice that Baker explained that he had a piss poor day. I've got eyes. All right. Thank you for saying it, and thank you for backing me up, my man, so I don't have to keep answering these bozo happy, Harry High School, boola boola guys. It's like, you're not even a fan. You're not even a Browns fan if you could say shit like that. I'm a bigger Browns fan, and my penis is much larger than yours. So I will pull it out of my pants and beat you to death with it if you say that again.
I also think that something, I've said that yesterday, and I still believe it, that something was going on with his release where he was releasing the ball too soon, and that's also why it was sailing.
Well, here's another question I have for Tony.
Yep.
You watch games in that stadium.
Yes.
Is there in some way a possibility that there was something wrong with the turf? And the reason I ask
that used to be a problem with the Metrodome, but I don't know if that's a problem with this stadium.
There were a lot of running plays on the Brown side where guys slipped. Kareem Hunt did, Nick Chubb did, where they slid when they were trying to get the corner.
Yeah, it's a yes and no answer. I know they have a lot softer turf than they would in like Atlanta, where if you fucking fall to the ground, your knee's gonna be scraped.
Right.
Because you can tell by the pellets, like when players get dragged to the ground or drag their feet, you see the rubber pellets bounce up. I just think it might be an equipment problem. Like it's a common occurrence, but I don't know. Are players' limbs getting like less flexible? And I honestly don't know.
And I got another question. And I'm full of questions today, and I wish I had answers. But this game was strange, and there were elements of it that made me feel like, what am I watching here? I mean, when Odell Beckham beats his man so badly, and a line drive pass is thrown out there, and Beckham, when he tries to stop to come back to it, his feet go out from under him. You saw that. And the pass was nowhere near the receiver. You saw that. And it's like, well, shit, how could anybody not complete that pass? And then I look at the last play of the game. How can you get to the point where you're at the 22-yard line? Is that where they were, Tony?
Yeah, 22, 25, somewhere in that region.
And Kirk Cousins goes back to pass. There's 3-man rush on him. The ball he threw barely got into the end zone.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm looking at that. The ball skipped in.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to throw the ball up in the air, so like a Hail Mary, you're going to get it up. So maybe if you have a size advantage with one of your receivers, with a guy like Jefferson who has good verticality, you can get up and try, how in the hell do you throw the ball that bounces 1 yard inside the end zone?
Yeah, he was going to Thielen on that play, and Thielen was held by Greedy Williams, but it wouldn't matter because the ball was so uncatchable that he would have had to dive back inside in the field of play and then stand up and jump back into the end zone. And I don't know if it just there was no power on the pass, or if he was just so rattled he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Because yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so much. I mean, these two quarterbacks came in 74% completion, and for them both to be absolutely terrible, but in what is an absolutely sterile environment. I mean, what was to stop them from being accurate? What are the odds that these two players would both suck the big moose on the same day?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either. And what was interesting was, just the week before, we get called for some ticky-tack goddamn pass interference call down the field against the Bears that brought them in with an opportunity to get back in the game. And there wasn't very much at all. I mean, it took a flagrant pull of the jersey by Sean Hill to, hi Bronk, to get people them to throw a flag. There was contact, and they weren't calling very much. So this game, for so many reasons, ended up 14-7. And you got guys running out on the field. I mean, I looked at Mike Zimmer's post-game presser, and they said to him, "How do you call a fourth timeout?" And he goes, "Well, the players all know that I'm the only one who can call a timeout." It's like, well, one of them doesn't know that, Mike. I'm like, what the hell?
Like I said, he pulled a Chris Webber.
I mean, it's hard for me to fathom. I just don't understand. So, these are all questions, and I guess there are just no answers. Yeah, Bronk.
That's a good point you're making about these two quarterbacks going from like high completion percentage games in their previous games to fuck all piss poor in that game. It's like they didn't adjust to the conditions. Now, were there conditions there? Were they doing the old Metrodome, let's blow the wind out when they got the ball, or let's suck the wind back in when we got the ball? Or what was it going on there?
Well, so with US Bank Stadium, the one end is like a giant swinging door. And they open it so it's like an outdoor game, except for, if it rains, you're not going to get fucking rained on. So I don't know if the wind might have been blowing in or not.
Then that would be barometric pressure. The pressure outside would be different from the pressure inside to it.
Yeah, but it was a nice day here yesterday, so the door was wide open.
I mean, it didn't stop Chase McLaughlin from just knocking a 48-yarder through with room to spare. The ball didn't move.
Yeah, but then again,
straight as an arrow.
Then again, our punter, Scott
Gillen,
he had a shit game. He was kicking the ball 35 yards down the field.
He had one bad kick, but he also, it just seems that to me, there didn't seem to be any swirling winds that would, because when guys caught punts, there was no problem. There was no circling around or last minute stabs or.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. I mean, it looked like that Raiders game in the middle of the snow, in the middle of the rainstorm hurricane last year, where the ball was going sailing on people and stuff like that. But there was no weather explanation for why. Those two guys. I mean, they're pro players. They don't suddenly both have a bad game at the same time. Maybe it is a coincidence.
It's a hell of a coincidence, and it raises more questions. I mean, and people think I'm being too hard on the Browns, but I'm being just as hard on the Vikings. It's like both teams really played poorly, and
if you were a neutral and you were watching that game, like that was the live Sky game here in England, so that was the game you had on. And people would have thought, "What the fuck is this, man? This looks like shit football."
Well, if
this
you were neutral,
you
would have turned it off after the first quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
And you would think the advantage. I mean, you take the ball, the first possession, Tony, down the field at 7-0, and it's like everything's going my way. So, I mean, you have that going for you. You got this hysterical crowd that is a great group of people making all kinds of noise, and the Browns not able to get fourth downs done. And, and then the Vikings turned into Justin Fields and that whole thing just like they look like the Bears.
We looked like Derek Anderson versus Deshaun Kaiser out there, man. It was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, you would swear that there were winds swirling the way that the balls that were being thrown were so not close to the receivers.
Yeah,
no drop passes. You didn't see drop passes because there was nothing really.
Nobody was accurate enough to fucking throw a pass.
Yeah. So it was really peculiar.
All right, what I need to do is go back because since it's a Sky game, I don't have access to the coach's tape, so I can't see any of that because it's blacked out. But anyway, I'm going to go back and look at it and see whether there were more underthrown passes in one direction of play and more overthrown passes in the other direction of play. Now, if you're going east to west and all the balls are getting overthrown, and then if you're going west to east and all the balls are not making it to the end zone from 22-yard line, then that's a fucking problem with that shitty stadium.
Well, the one thing that Stefanski said that was absolutely true, it's like we didn't have trouble possessing the ball. We just didn't score. We couldn't make the plays. And
okay. I'll disagree with that because we had 4 drives that were 3 and outs.
Oh, I agree with that. But what he was saying, if you look at the drives that they had, it wasn't like they couldn't get yardage. It was like they stopped themselves more than anything else by missing wide open people.
A lot of those drives were Chubb would get 4 yards. Chubb would get 4 yards, 3rd and 2, throws the ball out of bounds instead of throwing it to Demetric Felton, who was open on the sideline for the first.
Yeah, when there were long drives, then there would be 1 pass out of 2 during the down sequence that would actually be complete to keep the drive going. So it was like an 18-play drive and like a 10-play drive. But there were really at least 4 3-and-out drives at the Browns.
If he had completed 60% of his passes, the Browns would have won that football game 30 to,
7,
yeah.
I mean, you just... But then again, I guess you could say if Kirk Cousins played like Kirk Cousins is playing, it would have been, it looked like he started out, it was going to be, a Kirk Cousins kind of day. But man, nothing went as planned.
It's really weird, the overthrows and the underthrows.
Well, it's not like the Vikings defensive line was getting pressure. I mean, Baker, sacked 2 or 3 times? That's it. All game.
Yeah, I mean, again, Baker was flushing himself out of the pocket, and he just, usually when they, those plays where the misdirections, where they fake the handoff and they roll him and bootleg him out, he's exceedingly accurate because there's a man cutting across the field. He didn't throw to that man. I don't know what he was looking for. Instead, he would start looking downfield, and it's like, I don't know what that was all about. He's got to get back to running the basic system, though, because that wasn't it. I mean, it's unusual for us, when you're running a bootleg play, for him not to be using his tight ends at all. That's just bizarre. I've not seen that from this offense in 2 years.
Oh, they got hardly any targets. I mean, I can get the game book up.
You guys think Hooper had 1 catch and Njoku had 1 or 2? And that's all I saw.
Yeah, let me get the game book up.
Well, and could Baker's left shoulder issue be affecting his passing proficiency?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you can, again, I don't know the depth of the injury, and I don't know what equipment he's wearing to protect that, so I can't answer that. And look, if there was a truth to that, the Browns aren't going to tell the world and show their ass to the world and say Baker's throwing like, crazy inaccurate because his shoulder's hurt, because all that's going to do is make teams go after his shoulder even more.
Correct. I mean, I've got the passing stats up. Beckham and Higgins both got targeted 7 times. Higgins caught 4. Beckham caught 2. And then after that, Hunt got targeted 4 times. Hooper got targeted 5 times, and everybody else 2 or 1 times.
Well,
so 7, 7, 4, and 5. And that's it. And the numbers look really bad. I mean, that's got to be 59.5. It's got to be the lowest passing rate you can have without having a turnover. That's just diabolical. That is.
And the way they're handling Jedrick Wills is also another question that I have. It's
poor guy could be crippled.
Yeah, I mean, this is your primary guy. This is your left tackle of the future, and he's a tough guy and he's playing through this and all this, and now they carted him off the field. And it's really not the way you would think that an organization would protect a player. Yeah, Bronk.
Yeah, I think James Hudson actually did us a favor when he jumped on that 4th and 1, pushed it back. Then they had to kick the field goal.
Yeah, I know.
If we'd gone for it and missed it, we wouldn't have had those 3 points. I'm saying, thank God he's jumped off. Get Chase out there, get the 3 points, for God's sake.
But I think Callahan knows a good lineman when he sees one, and what he's telling us is it's not Hans and it's not Hudson. And I'd rather have a guy playing on one leg who's toughing it out. But the problem is that injury has become worse now, and I've gotten no information back on the MRI on Jed Wills. Has anybody heard anything about that?
Well, the internet's down here. You guys having a big outage?
Yes.
For like social media and all
Facebook
that?
and Instagram, yep.
Because my internet was gone for a whole hour, and then these other things are still down. So I was fucking around with phones trying to get them on, and trying to do just normal stuff, not even social media that wasn't working. I didn't think I'd be able to come on today, but yeah, it's a big issue on the internet.
Yes, Baz abilities. Let's not go too far out on a limb here. Right now, there would be no value for a guy who gets 20 yards.
You can't get a left tackle for Beckham. I mean, are you mad?
Well, not only that, but I mean, 20 yards a game reception doesn't get that job done. So, no.
I mean, looking at the game book, there's not a lot of interesting comments you can make about it, really. I mean, the snaps and all that. There's nothing I'd say, oh, I got to talk about that looking at this.
Who is slurping drinks in the background?
Well, it's
not me.
Brian.
Brian?
Yes. I'm enjoying my chocolate milkshake.
Oh, jeez.
That was somebody with goddamn food on their shit.
I know, man. What is the story? I'm the one with a weight problem.
You understand I'm fucking 3 hours behind you?
Oh, that's true.
I'm 5 hours ahead. And now
so it's 3:27 in the fucking afternoon.
And you want a milkshake.
Damn straight.
I was eating my meal at 11 o'clock last time.
While clanging a silverware off the fucking glass.
Yeah.
Oh, remember Steve in Delaware? Where is he? He was always cooking every time he came on the show.
Yeah, I forgot about Steve in Delaware. Yeah, he was our only Delaware listener.
Celery.
Mr. Celery. That's right.
It's true. That's true. That's where he came from. Yeah. So, then you have a snap count thing. And the thing you don't realize, because they don't tell you this on the broadcast, I'm getting tired of that. Instead of telling their little personal anecdotes, I wish they would follow the action on the field. Ronnie Harrison left the game with an alleged concussion that turned out not to be a concussion, which is the first time in his term with the Browns that it wasn't a concussion. And Grant Delpit played the rest of the snaps, the rest of the game. How about that? And he looked better than Ronnie Harrison. So, he's going to get Wally pipped, man.
Delpit played 97% of the snaps on defense.
That's right.
And then he played 45% on special teams.
Ronnie Harris and his concussions are going to be Wally Pipp.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get Lou Gehrig right out of the. Delpit will be starting in no time, and the same thing with Koromoa. These guys are making a huge difference in what we're able to do, making plays, and they're young, and they're only, if they stay healthy, going to get better.
Well, that's my question for you. What happens with the guy from the Colts, Walker, when he comes back? Is he going to play straight away, or is he going to take Koromoa out?
Yeah, well, I can tell you this, Alistair. Do I think Hunter's pressure got in Baker's head? I'll tell you, Baker, we know under pressure is not the same quarterback that he is solid in the pocket. We know that. And every team is going to take notice of this, and they're going to do what they can to, the Browns ended up running for 184 yards. It's not like the Vikings stopped the running game, but if they commit to more people to bring blitzes and to bring things in with the Browns' dinged-up offensive line, they're going to get into his head, and I'm sure that is a factor. Nobody wants to talk about that, though, but, that's why the check down is so damn important. you have to have, and I thought, based on seeing this offense now for one season and 4 games, that there's a check down usually available. And there were, it's just Baker wasn't throwing to them. It was just a
Felton got
weird
ignored,
thing.
like you mentioned during the post game. Felton definitely was ignored. The tight ends were ignored. Bryant seemed to get a lot of targets, like I just said, but
Njoku had a big first down catch.
Yeah, and he got absolutely interfered with on one play, but they got away with it for some slight tip or some reason. That was early in the game.
You know what really, Captain Fierce.
Caption Fierce.
I would rather have Jennifer Hudson start over Jedrick Wills. Let's move on.
Or Henry Hudson. He was a bit of an explorer.
Yeah, right. It's but that's all the snap counts come down to MJ Stewart in the wake of Harrison's injury. He went from playing mostly on special teams, logging 24 snaps, and that didn't hurt us, thank God. John Johnson III and Greedy Williams never came off the field. Denzel missed 1 snap. Myles Garrett saw one of his highest percentages of snaps.
That's high for him, isn't it?
61 out of 67. And Koromoa, 35, saw the second highest number of snaps among linebackers, with Malcolm Smith with 51. It's just that with the 35, Koromoa is all over the field. He just keeps making plays. So he's much more noticeable.
How about that? Greedy Williams played all 67 snaps.
That's right.
I mean, and the thing that gets, and the reason people say, I think your post-game show, you're just not a fan and all this, it's like part of this is entertainment, folks. Part of it is entertainment, and some of it is just the reaction of being a fan. When you look at something like that, you say, God, we're lucky we walked away with a win, but we really played poorly. And I'm not going to sit there and beat a drum for playing like that. The Browns are going to have to play a whole lot better than that if they want to beat the Chargers and any other number of teams that they're going to be playing in the coming weeks. They're going to have to play a lot better than that. But the defense, it's amazing. The defense gave up single-digit points for the back-to-back games for the first time since 1995. I mean, what does that tell you?
Tony wasn't even alive back then. Well, maybe only just.
The Browns have allowed 20 points in their last 10 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally got a turnover.
But still, we're not confident. I'm not confident that the defense is fixed. Are you confident the defense is fixed? We got to play Justin Herbert next week away in California, where we notoriously are poor. That Brown team, the further west it goes, the worse it gets.
Well, do I think it's fixed? And that brings up another question. There's more questions that I have than answers. We were screaming in the first 2 games of the season. We were screaming. It's like, can we see some blitzing and press coverage, please, seeing as how we invested all this into our secondary? And instead, we kept seeing soft zones and teams going right down the field. And then all of a sudden, in the Chicago game, we implement it, and it's like, okay, I understand why, because Justin Fields didn't know where he was and didn't know what he was doing. And the offensive line was horrendous. Then we come back and we do it again to a team that's averaging 30 points a game, and we did pressure Kirk Cousins, and with a 4-man pass rush. It wasn't even being accomplished. The discombobulation wasn't happening because of people randomly blitzing. We blitzed 21.6% of the time. And this season, it's been 21.3 average.
There was rare cases where like Denzel Ward came in late and Koromoa came in late, and it was like once a quarter when we threw out an exotic blitz, I think. I
mean, it's the yards rushing. I mean, 184, we outgained the Vikings on the ground by 119 yards. And yeah, it didn't help that Dalvin Cook re-hurt his ankle, but you really didn't get the feeling that Dalvin Cook, before he really hurt his ankle badly,
couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything.
They were stopping everything before he could build up that head of steam. 100 yards rushing for Nick Chubb, the 18th time he's gone over the 100 mark for his career in a game. I mean,
that reminds me of another thing. You want to talk about Harbaugh after you get done with this bit?
Talk about who?
Harbaugh going for that record.
I was going to get to that in a minute. The other thing was the third downs converted by Minnesota. 3 third down conversions after the Vikings opening drive. And that's the Browns getting off the field. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable.
13 punts forced by the Browns defense in the past 2 games. Tell me this doesn't make a huge difference. Field goals from 50-plus yards by Chase McLaughlin in the Browns' first 4 games. He might be an amazing bright light that fades, but boy, he's definitely on now, because these kicks, we're used to seeing kickers where the ball barely would squeak in, and then of course some of them would hit the goalpost and bounce away.
We got to heat check him. We got to keep sending him out there until he misses, man. It's like LeBron in the threes. So he throw up 1 3, go in, throw up another 3, go in, then, well, damn it, I'm going to throw up another one. That one goes in. You got to keep doing it until he misses.
And the funny thing is that McLaughlin wasn't even really endorsed by the organization, because they were really interested
They still got a guy in the practice squad. They still got a backup. Who has a backup kicker on their practice squad? I don't think a lot of teams do.
Yeah, I mean, so
well, they have to. They have to because of the fucking COVID deal.
COVID, well, but I'm not sure whether every team does.
Yeah, but I mean, do you realize that McLaughlin's the first Browns kicker to make 3 field goals from 50-plus yards since Phil Dawson had 7 in 2012? I mean, it shows how bad our kickers have been since then, or the fact that we were unable to move the ball far enough to even attempt 50-plus yard field goals.
Correct.
Wade Jackson. 35 minutes and 32 seconds, the time of possession. 3rd straight week that they win that war. I mean, this is impressive stuff. And let's talk about what you mentioned, Bronk. You brought it up. You tell me.
John Harbaugh risks injury just so that they could get some sort of rushing record to equal the Steelers that no one would have known about if CBS or whoever was doing the game had mentioned it. So now they've got 43 straight games of having over 100 yards, and the Steelers back in 1971 and 1974 or whatever had 43 straight games of getting over 100 yards.
Big Dick in a shower is nothing compared to an average-sized dick that gets laid every night. I mean, the fact of the matter is they want this record. That's fine. They were beating a team that was defeated because their quarterback wasn't out there. I mean, the reason that Teddy fucking Bridgewater's the quarterback there, and it's not like Tony will tell you that Teddy Bridgewater is not the answer to the world's problems in football. But
it's more of a question.
But Drew Lock, they got the lock. They just don't have the key to open this guy up. And when he came out on the field, the fans in Denver were booing. I don't know if you heard that. Half of the fans were upset. Like, oh God, not this guy.
Correct.
Well, he's like Cody Kessler,
What a good break for the Ravens. Again, they're getting a lot of breaks right now, and 2 starting guards out for the Broncos and their quarterback gone. So, so when they asked Vic Fangio after the game what he thought about that last play with 3 seconds on the clock, the 5-yard run by the arrogant Lamar Jackson, I thought it was kind of bullshit, but I expected it from them, Fangio said. 37 years of pro ball. I've never seen anything like that. But it was to be expected, and we expected it. Asked why the Broncos expected it, Fangio added, because I just know how they operate.
Yeah.
That's just their mode of operations there. Player safety is secondary. Fangio was a Ravens assistant coach from 06 to 09, a period that included John Harbaugh's first 2 seasons as head coach there in 08 and 09.
That's a brave comment to make, too, because you don't normally do that to a team in your conference, like make a comment that cutting.
But, it makes sense to me in the great scheme of things because, again, I don't like to just say bad things about our competitors. The Ravens, though, are most famous for starting fights on the field with cheap shots and then getting the retaliation fouls called on their opponents. They are a filthy fuck football team and a cheap shot team in that regard. And that's who John Harbaugh is, an unimaginative brute who's no different than his psycho brother. They both grew up in the same environment. They're both a couple of fucking wackazoids. And the thing that's amazing is, what the hell? The quarterback doesn't have a fucking contract, so what the hell? We'll run him into the line one more time for 5 yards. And you wonder how this kind of shit ends up hurting players in the long run. And I know the Ravens have been successful, but to be honest with you, Harbaugh's not well liked by the fans in that organization.
Oh, God, no, yeah.
And the players are just replaceable parts, and they hit hard. I'll give them credit. Their defense hits hard. But the other thing is they taunt more and they foul more than other teams do. And I think they're a slimy slut of an organization when it comes to just punching people when they're not looking and getting people to retaliate. I think it really stinks. I don't like that kind of football. I like a good solid stick because, let's face it, football is an angry game. This is not a game to be tentative. And I never blame anybody for being assertive. But man, when you're at, after a play, bitch slapping a guy in the helmet, well, with a part of your uniform that could scramble their brains and give them a concussion, and the player turns around and retaliates, and the foul's against that team, it just reinforces, and this is what they're being told by Harbaugh. This is what they're told to do. And their time will come. Their time will come, honest to God. Just like, I'm looking at it. We talked about it for years. Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, God. When was it ever going to happen that he was going to fade? And
well, no. I mean, when was it going to happen that he would just go down and not get back up and he would be totally injured? It's worse. Yeah. It never happened. He just got old and started sucking. And, Pittsburgh fans, kiss my ass. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. And Ben Roethlisberger can't even lift a woman into the men's room anymore. Honest to fucking God. He got nothing left. I mean, he goes back to throw, and even when he throws short ball over the middle, his arm motion is all wacky. The ball's spinning goofy. And there isn't that downfield, long throw. There isn't the escapability. He's just a guy who's playing the string out. And, you'd all been better off had Big Ben gotten injured like I told you I wanted him to. Because now you hung on to him for how long, and you're no closer to a good offensive line. You're no closer to a real starting quarterback. You're no closer to establishing the running game that your organization needs with Mike Tomlin as your head coach. You're far away from all those goals, and that's going to take you many drafts. Many drafts. And of course, Ben took a pay cut to stay this year because he's not even worth half of what he made. That's the bottom line.
Well, we get to play in another month, which is good.
Amsterdam. The great Santini, not Santi. I don't know. Get it right. Robert Duvall would be pissed at you. Don't make cultural references on my program if you don't know what they are. I'm going to do the Great Santini. All right, everybody, all you sports fans out there, what are we going to do? We're going to get up and go out there and play some basketball. All right. If you haven't seen the movie The Great Santini, do it, please. That's a great performance by Robert Duvall. Absolutely tremendous performance.
Oh, we going to get a Peter Alice play of the game?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Every drive except for the one at the end of the first half.
The fourth timeout, or the final Hail Mary, or the Greedy Williams interception.
Here we go. Oh, it's me, Peter Alice, in my palatial castle here in heaven, and oh, there's so much pain in my gut after watching that football game. I thought I was in hell because they were showing the game up here. First of all, Odell Beckham down the field, 3rd and 5, wide open, and oh, it doesn't matter. Your ACL's been reconstructed, but you almost tore it out trying to get to a ball that was nowhere near you. Oh, and Kirk Cousins. How do you shot put the final pass of the game and barely get it into the end zone? Oh. There was so much oh that I was saying during the game. It was E-I, E-I, oh. Yeah. There's too many. Too numerous to mention.
Yeah, there's the play every other minute was a Peter Alice play.
Yeah, it was bad game. Good result. You know, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled we got the win. I'm thrilled that Greedy Williams got his interception. I'm just
after 4 games, the worst thing you can be obviously is 0-4. But there's a bigger difference between 2-2 and 1-3 than there is between 2-2 and 3-1. And if you're 1-3, you only got a couple more lives left, and you to still make the playoffs.
No, and I got one better for Peter Alice. You know, as bad as the game was, there is something worse.
It stunk worse than Bronx underwear after 4 months of constant wearing.
Oh, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Urban Meyer. Oh. You lose and you get a lap dance. Is that the way it works? Is that the play call, Urban? I mean, could you believe that shit?
Oh, what happened there? I haven't heard. My internet's down.
He didn't fly back with the team. He didn't fly back with the team. He ends up back in Jacksonville at a bar, and somebody shoots.
No, it was Ohio. I think it was in Ohio.
I thought it was in Jacksonville at a bar.
I have no idea. I haven't heard this. So
yeah, there's a picture of him groping a chick.
There was a video of it. It wasn't just a picture. It was a video of her rubbing her ass up against his dick.
Really?
Yeah, somebody had a still of it.
And it wasn't Shelley Meyer then, huh? Miss COVID denier.
Yeah,
Yeah, look it up because I haven't heard this.
I'm trying to get the exact story. I mean, here it is. Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer said Monday he apologized to his team, his family, and owner Shad Khan after a viral video surfaced over the weekend that showed a young woman dancing close to his lap. It was in a Columbus, Ohio bar. You're right.
Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. Hammer probably knows her.
Yeah, I mean, Hammer Time is going to say, what bar is that happening at? Meyer apologized
for
the
team meeting. Volleyball games.
Exactly.
Meyer apologized in a team meeting on Monday and also said multiple times it was stupid to put himself in such a compromising position. There was nothing compromising about it. His dick was hard. His dick was hard, man. I mean, You lose to Cincinnati, and it's like, I deserve a lap dance.
Well, I mean, he's just like Robert Kraft,
What a feeling. Yeah. My God.
Wow.
I just apologized to the team for being a distraction, the 57-year-old Meyer said. Just stupid, and so I explained everything that happened and owned it. Just stupid. Should not have myself in that kind of position. Oh, wait a minute. I feel this terrible migraine headache coming on. I think I'm going to have to resign. Meyer did not fly back to Jacksonville with the team last Thursday night and instead went to Columbus to visit with his grandchildren. I hate to think what he did to them.
Hey, maybe that was his granddaughter.
Meyer said he and his family members went to his restaurant, Urban Meyer's Pint House.
He's got some steakhouse thing in Henderson Road.
And people at a nearby event asked to take photos with him. Meyer said he should have left people when people tried to get him to dance with them. There was a big group next to our restaurant. They wanted me to come over and take pictures, and I did. They were trying to pull me out on the dance floor, screwing around, and I should have left. Meyer said his family was understandably upset after the 9-second video showing Meyer sitting at the bar in an Ohio State pullover while the young woman danced close to his lap was posted on social media. I don't see nothing wrong. R. Kelly to jail shout out with a little bump and grind. Oh my God. Now, roughly an hour after the news conference, another video emerged on social media that appeared to show Meyer touching a woman's bottom while sitting at the bar. The woman appeared to be wearing the same clothes, jeans and a white top, as the woman in the first viral video.
Wow.
And of course, Meyer said his players and owner, Shad Khan, were receptive to his apology. They would be. What a bunch of losers. I mean, and Trevor Lawrence is like, we're going to really pay attention to you when you tell us what to do now because you've got such good judgment.
Wherever he is, it's always all about Urban Meyer. Even when he was on TV, commentating on games, it was always all about him. And it's still always all about him.
And, for all you Cleveland Browns analytics fans, here are your numbers. As far as your efficiency numbers for offense, Baker Mayfield at a 49.2.
Woohoo!
Demetric Felton, 80.1. Kareem Hunt, 70.0. Andy Janovich, 72.2. And Nick Chubb down to a 55.8. And Chubb averaged 2.9 yards after contact when he was averaging 4 through the first 3 games. And he also forced only 1 missed tackles. But Demetric Felton was only on the field for 6 snaps. But he makes something happen when he is on the field. At wide receiver, Rashard Higgins a 75, Beckham a 56, Anthony Schwartz a 53, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, the invisible one, a 50.2. Tight end Njoku 66.9, Hooper 64.1, Bryant 53.7. The offensive line was boldly led. Joel Bitonio with a 90.9, which is a great number. J.C. Treader with a 69.7, Conklin a 68, Wyatt Teller 65.4, Jedrick Wills Jr. 58.5, and James Hudson III 50.2. I wanted to point out something to you. I cannot get through to the article because Cleveland.com and their little wackazoid pay portal, took it away. But take it away. And I was bummed out. I did tweet the quote from Mary Kay Cabbagehead, but I will give you the gist of it now because you deserve to hear it on this program and nowhere else. That Hudson, when he came into the game, of course, had a false start.
Yeah.
But she then wrote during his time in the game that Jedrick Wills had a false start and a holding himself.
Holding himself, huh?
Holding himself. Yeah, he was penalized for
holding himself.
Holding himself. I mean, that's an image I really don't want to think of. A one-legged man holding himself.
No.
No, it's
And you know what? We give Cleveland.com material because you've obviously had stuff that you've said showed up at Cleveland.com, and even I have had stuff show up. So, and there's a paywall for that site. So people should just watch this program.
It's really funny. You go to this and try to get the defensive numbers. It's under the paywall, except, if I get to the article soon enough before the idiots put up the paywall, I can still read this stuff.
Still
So
see it, yeah.
I just want to say something to Cleveland.com. Neener. Okay. The defensive end, Miles Garrett at a 90.2, Clowney at 81.4, Tack McKinley. Hey, Tack, he's playing some football. Tack is back. 71.4, and Joe Jackson, 43.1. Is he really going out with her? Hang on. At defensive tackle, Malik Jackson an 81.1. That passes the eye test. Jordan Elliott at 56, only 15 snaps. Andrew Billings only played 5 snaps, but it seemed like 30 because he's just so fat. And Malik McDowell, 44.2. He played 44 snaps. Wow. At linebacker, Koromoa, 75.8. Malcolm Smith is 74.6. Mac Wilson, 66.3. Elijah Lee got 14 snaps at a 53 rating, and then Taki at a 48.4, 24, and then off the field he went. Koromoa, and we got better play from the linebacker position this week, and that's all the reasons of the world why the running game is being shut down, because we're actually getting penetration by some of our guys into the backfield. At cornerback, Greedy Williams, an 86.4. How about that? Troy Hill at a 72, Denzel Ward at a 70, and A.J. Green, 43.2.
I was really worried about Greedy Williams. I thought Cousins would be able to pick him apart, and
didn't happen.
You were worried. I was worried.
You bet.
Didn't happen.
The safety position, Delpit, 65 snaps, amazing, 74.1. John Johnson, a 69.5. MJ Stewart, a 67. And Ronnie Harrison, in 2 snaps, a 63. Delpit graded a 71.4 in coverage, and Johnson graded below 70 against the run and in coverage. So, Delpit was doing the job on 2 fronts, and that's always exciting news.
I think
when a young player
broke the white marshmallow of hope for the Chargers game now.
No, I would rather do this first because I see that I was prescient, one of my favorite SAT words, and I can share a screen with you because it's sometimes it's just a necessity to do so. And we'll share this. All right. Let's see if we can get Urban up here. Come on, Urban. Do your thing. Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah. It's not moving.
It's not?
No, it's not moving on my end. Is it moving on your end, Alfred E. Newman?
Nope. But that's what I was talking about. It looks like a still shot.
Oh no, this is it's like a GIF, so maybe it just doesn't play on StreamYard.
Yeah, it won't play on StreamYard.
Oh, I'm bummed out. Oh, yeah, you get to see. Oh man, it's just disturbing. And that's disturbing. Grow up, dude. Just fucking grow up.
57 years old, Urban Laugh.
So, and then to finish off the show, it would be nothing without the Washington football team, who can't even get good news that'll last for more than 5 minutes. And their head athletic trainer, Ryan Vermillion, on administrative leave for what a spokesperson called an ongoing criminal investigation unrelated to the club. He's a fucking criminal. He's in his 2nd season with Ron Rivera in Washington after 18 seasons working for the Carolina Panthers. The Drug Enforcement Administration and the Loudoun County Sheriff's Department conducted a search at Washington's practice facility. A source confirmed to ESPN.
Who was the mayor that got popped twice for
the
drugs?
DC mayor. I can't remember his name.
But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I wonder if that guy bought his old house.
Marion Barry?
Marion Barry, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, team officials did not know about the investigation until DEA agents showed up at the facility. This is great. I mean, this is the Washington football team. They're worried about being called the Redskins and having a clean public image because of it. We changed to the Washington football team, and look, they're hiring these people who are fucking wackazoids. The DEA talked to multiple former players about Vermillion earlier this year. One ex-player who spoke with the DEA said he did not have any useful information to share with them. Rivera brought Vermillion with him from Carolina, declined to comment during his weekly news conference. I won't comment on how I personally feel about what's going on. And of course, Dan Snyder referred to Vermillion as a perfect fit. You got that right. And one of the most respected and seasoned head athletic trainers in the NFL. Wow. So there you have it. Great news for the Washington football team. So,
we need some sort of homily to round out the program here.
A homily.
Jerry Springer or something.
You want Jerry Springer to wrap this show up?
Jerry Springer homily. We haven't had one of those in years.
And I don't have one for today. But there's no common thread between two quarterbacks simultaneously playing badly and your head trainer being carted off by the DEA and Urban Meyer getting bump and grinded.
And John Harbaugh.
Yeah, and then John Harbaugh running his quarterback into the line for a meaningless record and all of the stuff that goes with today's news. Doesn't make any damn bit of sense to me. Everybody, thanks a lot for supporting the show, and I really appreciate it. I love it when the post-game show goes up over 1,000 views. That makes me feel like, hey, it was funny. I was up there on YouTube, and I saw that the Browns, the official Browns site, they had 4,000 views, and I had 1,000. That means I'm 25% as good as they are. And that's real positive for me because, A, I'm not getting paid, and B, I'm nobody.
Win. Usually you only get those after a loss.
Yeah, and I'm not promoting the show at all.
It was like a win that felt like a loss, though, wasn't it?
No, I mean, it feels like a win today.
Where's Tony gone? Where is he gone?
And Mark Lewis, thank you for joining in. Better late than never. Everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll be back again Friday. We're going to be talking about the Chargers. We'll be watching the Chargers tonight and see how they and the Raiders do. And I'm going to be taking a close look at Justin Herbert. He's a fine young quarterback, and see what the Browns might or might not be able to accomplish. And also against their defense. I know nothing about the Chargers defense, but I'm going to learn some stuff watching the game tonight, and we'll impart some of that insight on Friday.
Yeah, we only got 2 unbeaten teams now, and Chargers or Raiders. I don't know. One of the Raiders are the team that's unbeaten, and the Cardinals.
It's amazing. Cardinals have had an amazing run. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back again on Friday for the next installment of Moohead Radio. Was that a key shout out?
It was a key shout out.
Why do you do that at the end like that?
Because she asked me to.
That's what he does. That's Brian being Brian.
That's what I do. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, man, that's what I do.
Everybody, have yourselves a good week, and we'll see you Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Thanks for watching, Key. Bye.
Boo. Boo.